I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Hope you are ready for today's show. Is a lot of changes, a little more upset weekend, not just in the major division, which we call Upset Saturday, but we had it in the mid-major too. So we'll discuss that a little bit today as we get into the mid-majors. But with that being said, welcome to episode 732 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. Simply put, we call it HBCU sports pedagogy. If you hear a little bit of reverb or big time reverb, we'll try to get that corrected. But stick with us. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. And we also have AD Drew Wilton Jackson II. As you know, we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. We'd like to remind you that he's the multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody on board so we can get into this week's talk and see what direction they want to go to after we had a little bit talk updates in terms of what that looked like from the weekend's games. Now it's time to move forward. We'll see what these gentlemen have to say in regards to that. Without further ado, let me ask everybody how they doing today. First, let me start out with you, Big Mike. How are you doing today, Big Mike?
Dude, I'm doing well. My voice has recovered from the homecoming festivities this past weekend. I'm doing great now. But I'm looking forward to this conversation on Upset Weekend. And I'm looking more forward to the games that we have coming up this next Saturday and Sunday. So I'm ready to toast already. This season has gotten real, and I'm dialed in. So other than that, now that my voice is back, I'm good to go.
I need to take what you're taking, Mike. My voice is still working through it. But let me go to you, AD Drew. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Dr. Cavil. Senior Days coming up in Atlanta at Morehouse. It's winding down, Dr. Cavil. It is winding down. And for some of us, we are slowly making the transitions, while others have already made the abrupt transition. Raise your hand if you're looking forward to the volleyball championships in your respective conference.
You could at least say basketball.
I gotta stay with the fall sports, Wilton. I gotta stay with fall sports.
I got you.
I like it.
I think cross country or basketball. They said volleyball.
How about soccer, Mike? How about soccer?
Yeah, I like it. I like all of them. I like all of them. I think your point is made, regardless of which other sport you're talking about. Wilton Jackson II, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Doc. Another good weekend of HBCU football this past week. Some head scratches a little bit in terms of 1 and 2. And I know Mike alluded to that. I'm with him on that. Like when I cut on the TV and saw that, I was like, oh my God, Albany State, Benedict, like what's going on? Like this is not how I thought this game was gonna go. But no, I mean, another great slate of games, and obviously looking forward to the slate of games coming up this weekend.
Mm-hmm. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles. I see you are putting in your dissertation time and you're in the office getting a little cheat code. I like that. I appreciate you. Your chair is proud of you. But how you doing besides that?
Doing well, Doc. I mean, like you said, putting in some late hours this afternoon. But this week we have a changed HBCU landscape. Whether you're talking on the mid-major level or the major level, I mean, we are looking at some serious championship football over the next few weeks, and there's a lot of intrigue sitting out there. So I think that's a lot of fun.
I agree with you. I think your point is well taken. Since somebody talked a little bit about a volleyball, I think I'd be remiss before I let Drew take us back into some talk about the mid-major level. Let's look at the top 3 teams. Well, we'll do top 4. You know, I like to break it down in quadrants. So we'll do the top 3, as I said, versus thirds where we do the top 4. Top 3 teams. Jackson State at 9-2. Bethune-Cookman at 9-2, and Prairie View at 10-1. Since we're talking a little volleyball, thought I'd study you on that a little bit in terms of what volleyball is looking at. Shout out to the Prairie View Panthers, new coach, putting in some work and getting it done in terms of what that looks like. And for those that are into it, for the soccer side, we got Jackson State 5-1-1. Grambling State at 4-0-3, and Texas Southern 5-1-1. So not only are Prairie View and Texas Southern in the football business, at least Texas Southern is also in the women's soccer business, while Prairie View is in the volleyball business, as Drew alluded to. So some of us can do a little doodle-doodle, I guess.
Since you're going there, you might as well go cross country.
Yeah, they had the championship. So we'll talk about the championships. That's done. That's in the books. We'll talk about those championships on Thursday. We're going to go back to mid-major. Starting with you, Drew. Who do you want to give some accolades to or frameworks for the mid-major news?
How about the fact that the regional rankings came out on yesterday, everybody? I don't know if you guys were paying attention to them, but we'll start with our teams that are ranked. And as you know, this year, CIAA was shifted to Super Region 1, while the SIAC remained in Super Region 2, and that was because of Conference Carolinas is a new conference within Super Region 2. So let's start off with Super Region 1, the CIAA teams in that top 10 ranking. And everybody, this week, everything is alphabetical, so we don't know precisely where they are, but after the discussion, I'll give you where the projections are as of right now. So in Super Region 1, we've got Fayetteville State at 5-2. We've got Johnson C. Smith at 7-1, and we've got Virginia Union at 7-1, who are in the conversation. So we've got 3 of the top 10 spots in Super Region 1, and in Super Region 2. Yes. We've got Albany State 7-0, Benedict 7-1, yes. Edward Waters 5-2.
Look at that.
And Kentucky State at 6-1. Keep in mind, everybody, when I give these records for regional rankings, they only consider Division II opponents. Yes, we know Albany State lost to Florida A&M. Yes, we know Kentucky State lost to Grambling State, but those games are not considered when looking at super regional rankings. So I'll leave it right there before I get into part 2.
Good stuff. Great update there. Let me go to you, Mike. What's on your mind?
Yep. So little bit of a lawsuit here. Former HBCU player wins a multi-million-dollar lawsuit NCAA with the NCAA. So I got this because it came across my thread. But I got to give credit where credit is due. I believe the article was on Game Day. It was on Sports. Tali Carr wrote it. But basically, a South Carolina jury has ordered the NCAA to pay $18 million to former HBCU football player Robert Geethers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, who played at South Carolina State University from 1977 to 1980. The verdict found the NCAA negligent for failing to warn him about long-term risk of concussions. So the awarded $10 million to Mr. Geethers and $8 million to his wife Deborah Geethers following a civil trial suit in Orangeburg County. Now, keep in mind, if you studied law or anything, sometimes they will go in different appellates and different court circuits. But here was a civil penalty, and doctors testified that this 68-year-old individual, former defensive end, and suffers from dementia and shows symptoms consistent with cumulative trauma encephalopathy, or QCTE, a degenerative brain disease that basically takes its time and trauma in football players. Where I'm going with this is you see this in HBCU, but there have been a couple of other NCAA court cases with this. So you've heard about it in the NFL. Now you're hearing about it in HBCU. So I credit, Mr. Tolly Carr with really getting the article, but there were several other sources that too many to name that I came across my thing. So I thought that was very interesting that the court gave, because does this set a precedence for other athletes that played in that era as well? So I know we're talking about, matchups and everything, but I thought that was an interesting article that came across from a legal standpoint.
No doubt. And I know you, as you've been in law school, look at those kind of things as well, which is good information. I thought it was interesting that Bakari Sellers was part of that legal team.
Yeah.
They got that done. So that kind of stood out to me. So I did see that. So great work there, Mike, in terms of bringing that to our attention, and the rest of those that haven't seen it, come across it. I got to give a shout out to the comments talking about Benedict's hide and seek offense. Boy, that's a pretty good one. Charles, what's on your mind?
Yeah, let's take a look at the SIAC Players of the Week as the SIAC announces Football Players of the Week for this past week, October 28th, honoring student athletes for impressive performances in games played last week. Isaiah Knowles of Albany State, Xavier Eskin from Savannah State, Kyle Keith from Fort Valley State, and Trayshawn Sanders from Central State were all recognized. Let's take a look at the Offensive Player of the Week, which was Isaiah Knowles' huge comeback to this Albany State lineup. He had 3 touchdown passes and threw for over 200 yards in the air, as his leadership and command of the offense set the tone early and was instrumental in Albany State's statement win to rise to number 1 in the conference. Defensive Player of the Week is Xavier Eskin. Eskin rewrote the single game sacks record for Savannah State in Saturday's 24-16 homecoming win over Morehouse, breaking a school record that stood for 8 years. He set the new mark with 5 sacks in the game, also adding a pass breakup and 1 forced fumble. Ooh, AD, ouch. So, special teams. Player of the Week was Kyle Keith from Fort Valley State University. Keith was essential in the Wildcats' 23-19 win over Lane. He split the uprights 3 times, including a 53-yard field goal to tie the game going into halftime. He was also perfect, 2 of 2 on extra points, accounting for 11 of Fort Valley's 23 points. And the newcomer of the week is Trayshawn Sanders from Central State University. Sanders delivered a breakout performance showcasing his playmaking ability on both ends of the field. He recorded 2 interceptions, returning the first 40 yards for a touchdown to spark the Marauders' defense. In addition to his impact in the secondary, Sanders was a force in run support, tallying 5 tackles along with 1 pass breakup and 2 quarterback hurries. His ability to make plays in critical moments continues to solidify him as one of the more promising young defenders in the conference. So those are your SIAC Players of the Week.
Already.
Oh, many good stuff. Great.
Look, y'all gonna stop talking about Morehouse in that chat, y'all. I just want y'all to know that.
Let's step up Morehouse. Leave Morehouse alone, please.
Shout out to Emmett that had their comment, and then
Please leave Morehouse alone.
South Carolina State in the building. Boy, they coming out the woodworks.
All I can say is them sacks. You know that was a great. I witnessed that performance. He deserved that Player of the Week. That's all I can say.
I get you. Wilton, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the CIAA players of the week. We had quarterback Kelvin Durham from Johnson C. Smith. Durham had a dominant day in Johnson C. Smith's 52-27 win against Winston-Salem State. He threw 22 of 30 for 351 yards and 3 passing touchdowns while adding 74 rushing yards and 2 more scores on the ground. His all-around performance powered the Golden Bulls' efficient offensive showing. Another offensive standout was Curtis Allen from Virginia Union, which comes as no surprise. Curtis Allen powered the Virginia Union offense with 198 rushing yards on 30 carries in the win versus Bowie State. He capped his day with a 34-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter to seal the victory. Allen also contributed through the air with a 12-yard reception, showcasing his versatility and endurance. On the defensive side, you had Dravon Oxendine from Elizabeth City State. He made his presence felt in the Elizabeth City State 62-14 win against Lincoln. He forced a sack fumble, recovered another, and helped the Vikings defense force 5 total fumbles on the day. Oxendine's constant pressure up front disrupted the Lions' offensive rhythm and created key turnover opportunities. As far as Jaden Reeder from Livingstone, a linebacker, Reeder was everywhere for the Livingstone defense, recording 11 tackles, 2 solo and 9 assisted, 1.5 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. He also returned a fumble recovery for a touchdown, adding a defensive score to his dominant day. His relentless pursuit and big play ability set the tone for the Blue Bears defense.
Good stuff. Good comment. Shout out to Carol is in the building. Chuck Hunt. As I said, Aaron even got South Carolina State in here representing. Always got love for Chuck Hunt. He's all over the place. He's going to get his HBCU news of the day if you would. And then we have Drew. I know you wanted to add some stuff before we took a first break. So go ahead and get it in, and we'll get into that first break.
Yeah. According to inkblotsports.com, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Inkblot Sports, but they do a lot of rankings and metrics for Division II athletics, and they provide the projected regional rankings, and they have tended to be very accurate in their numbers and what they rank. But they do it, but what they put out is basically just the numbers. Obviously, the coaches on the RAC committee actually vote, but these numbers go a long way into the vote. So we're going to go behind the numbers a little bit. Not going to nerd you out. I'm just going to give you what they have their projections at. Right now, Johnson C. Smith is projected to be their number 2 team. Behind Kutztown, Virginia Union is projected to be 3. And Fayetteville State right now is projected 7 in Super Region 1. So we'll see how those compare to our top 7 polls, Dr. Cavil. But that's as of right now before the games are played on this upcoming Saturday. And moving over to Super Region 2 quickly. West Florida is 1. By the numbers, Kentucky State is actually number 2.
Wow.
Kentucky State strength of schedule is better than Albany State strength of schedule, who is 3. Kentucky State strength of schedule is 5.89 versus Albany State strength of schedule is 4.93. So despite the record, and like I say, there's a formula that goes into it. I'm not going to get it too deep into the weeds, but Benedict comes in at 4. So 2, 3, and 4 are SIAC teams, Kentucky State, Albany State, and Benedict, with Edward Waters right now getting the last spot at number 8. But there's an asterisk to that, because all conferences must be represented in the playoffs. There are 8 teams in the playoffs. So right now, UNC Pembroke is number 9. So if things played out exactly how they are, they would bump Edward Waters because they get that automatic bid. And yes, that's on the automatic instead of preferred qualifiers like they have in the past.
Great update by everybody in terms of mid-major. Good and very informative. Let's take our first break and come back on the other side and see what the top 7 did officially last week as we move through week number 8. We'll be right back after this next break. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and we have the professors with us, Wilton Jackson II and A.D. Drew. With that being said, let's jump in here, give a review as we continue to look at the Big Ben Award winners. We can talk and see if there's anybody out. I think y'all gave some of the accolades in the first segment, so we might push through it. Let's get into the last week's top 7. So we give you a reminder where everybody stood last week before we get into this week's top 7. Last week we had at number 7, Edgewater Tigers. At number 6, we had Fayetteville State Broncos. At number 5, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. At number 4, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. At number 3, Virginia Union Panthers. At number 2, Albany State Golden Rams. And number 1, Benedict Tigers that set up that 1 versus 2 matchup. Fascinating when you think about now after those games were played and what it looks like from the regional rivalries. I think that sets up for some great dialogue. But with that being said, let's talk about those scores that set things up for last week to what we will see this week. So moving a little forward as we get into week 7's top 7 scores, let's get right into it with the number 1 versus number 2 matchup. Unless you're under the rock, you have not heard that Albany State, the Golden Rams, took it to the Tigers. I think a lot of people saw that this would be a minimum upset by the numbers. But getting to what we had to do the lecture on Sunday, I think this is one where you actually probably could have made more of the argument going into this, that even if number 2 won, it wouldn't be that big of an upset, or I can see you not even call it an upset. But the way that the Benedict Tigers lost to the Golden Rams should surprise quite a few people, except for those that have fan bases for Golden Rams and maybe some other folks, but certainly could have put money on it if they did, because the Rams took it to them 31-3 was the final score of that matchup, with Albany State getting it done, as Mike likes to remind us, Albany. With that being said, let's go to the next matchup as we continue to kind of move down the scale. We have number 3, which happens to be the Virginia Union Panthers. They improved to 7-1, 5-0, 24-7 as they defeat Bowie State Bulldogs that fall to 2-6, 1-4. Boy, I remember a day when Bulldogs were always in the top of the race. Not only are they at the top, now they're not even in the top 7. As they're struggling for the second consecutive season. Tough for those Bulldog fan faithfuls out there that were used to having so much fun in terms of dominating everybody just a couple of years ago. Let's go to the next matchup as we continue down, which is number 4. The Golden Bulls quietly, unlike last year's, getting to that spot, quietly have repeated with a really good season. 7-1, 4-1. Their only loss to a top-ranked Virginia Union Panthers. But they get it done against Winston-Salem State. That falls to 4-5, 2-4, 52-27, as they were able to put up points, which is setting up for a very intriguing matchup this week, particularly going down the stretch. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, you think about at number 5 in terms of that matchup that did not play that week. That is Kentucky State. We heard where they're ranked at, which may have surprised you a little bit, but getting to number 6, which is Fayetteville State Broncos, 5-3, 5-0, 38-14, after getting off to a slow start. As they got in the conference, they got it right. They're undefeated, and they set up, as I said, for a top 7 matchup, as they will take on Johnson C. Smith. We'll see where they're actually ranked in the next segment, but fascinating when you think about all the marbles that are on the table for that game. They defeated Livingston Blue Bears at 4-4, 2-3 in terms of what that looks like. So let's keep it moving as we get into number 7. Everwater Tigers got back on the right ship. They improved to 5-3, 4-2, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Little maybe still in the race. Outside of it, they need a bunch of help, but they're still there as the Tigers defeat Clark Atlanta, that's really fallen on hard times this season, 2-4, as they continue to take a dip. 55-41 was that score in terms of that matchup. That'll do it for the top 7. Let's see what the gentlemen have to say about this. Charles, let me go to you. Anything stood out to you in terms of those scores from the top 7 games there? See, Charles is having a little problem. Let's go to you, Mike, as we see if we can get Charles going there. He might have frozen a little bit in that thinking position. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Obviously, the one that stuck out with me was Albany against Benedict. I think you stated that many folks may have predicted that Albany may have come out across the win, but like that. And when I say lopsided, my goodness, lopsided. I mean, 200 yards rushing, 300 yards pass, 500 yards total offense. They held Benedict to 63 yards on the ground, total time. Total. They held the ball for nearly twice the amount. That's dominance. And if you look at conversion, Benedict converted 1 of 10 on third down efficiencies. But if you do the extrapolations, I think they had one other play where maybe they got the first down on the second play, or maybe the first play, but overall their conversion was at 20-30% tops, and 30% is stretching it. So that's dominance. Fourth down efficiency, 0 for 1. So if you look at all statistics, typically you look at a juggernaut game like that, and you look to see some balance. The only balance I saw was that penalties, both teams had 10, but there were 200 yards of penalties across both teams, 10 penalties for both teams, and it equated to 200 yards. So there were penalties were equalized. The dominance of Albany to me, let them stand out amongst all other D2 teams. I don't see any other D2 team right now. AD, I know you know this more than I. But right now, to me, they stood out as the dominant performance, and that's why they are number one and number two in offense and defense in in their division and really across other divisions. So I guess the thing that stood out to me was the dominant performance in all statistical categories. That's what stood out.
Good stuff. Charles?
Yeah, I think when I was looking at it, I think probably the Savannah State Morehouse score caught me off guard. I mean, when you take a look at the way Morehouse has been playing football the past few weeks, that was just I kind of figured Morehouse was kind of on a roll, and that would be another W on the belt. But that kind of shocked me in terms of seeing that score. And then Mike touched on it. I think Benedict and Albany in terms of the dominance that we saw in that game. Isaiah knows coming back, and then the offense doing what the offense did. I think you said close to 500 some odd yards, but defensively kind of shutting down Benedict as well. So that was the two things that kind of stood out with regards to that game.
Great comments there. Wilton Jackson II. Where about you?
I echoed their comments as well, but another game that kind of maybe flew under the radar a little bit was the Johnson C. Smith Winston-Salem State game, because if you remember, guys, like this was the same team at Johnson C. Smith last year when they got to this point. This was a game. Obviously, they beat Winston-Salem State last year, but it was a lot closer game. This year was a blowout, 52-27. They pretty much, Coach Flowers has his guys locked in, and they really set the tone from the very beginning. Kelvin Durham, I mean, my gosh, had a strong performance. This is a team at Johnson C. Smith that really does look for real. This is the same team I thought that looked truly for real last year. So, again, we'll find out a lot about the Golden Bulls this weekend when they face Fayetteville State. But I'm excited to see that game this weekend.
Oh, fascinating when you break it down in terms of Winston-Salem State compared to last year. Great points when you talk about this slide and how it may be different this year. We certainly get to see the first step this weekend. With that being said, AD Drew, where are you on the top step?
We talk about how great the Benedict defense was coming into this particular matchup, but that defense can only be so good, as Mike pointed out, when the offense does not allow the defense to rest. If you look at the number of 3 and outs that Benedict had offensively, then you would understand why that defense was essentially tired in that game, and why Albany was able to dominate. And Benedict has had their chances, but of all the teams that we'll probably see in our top 7, the most offensively challenged team in our top 7, Dr. Cavil, has to be the Benedict Tigers. They only go as far as that defense takes them. If that defense or those special teams do not generate a score or a significantly short field like Savannah State did against Morehouse. And yes, Charles, you were not the only one who was shocked about that outcome of that Savannah State Morehouse game. I was there. I was shocked. Also, the way Savannah State dominated Morehouse in that particular game. But fellas, let's look east. Let's look at the CIAA and those 3 teams that we have in the CIAA that are ranked. And it's not that they are winning. It is how they are winning. They are dominating the teams that they should dominate, which makes the matchup that we're going to see Saturday even more intriguing, because these teams seem to be peaking at the right time in the CIAA. So let's hope that they continue to peak and do what they need to do, and hopefully all 3 of these teams can find a way into the Super Region 1 playoffs.
Perfect way to close with that framing of what this means for the end of the season, some key races, the championship game, and then into the playoffs. Let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll see what those thoughts are in terms of this week's top 7. That's week number 8. Let's see what it looks like on the other side.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, looking at rankings for week number 8. We're closing in on the end of October. That means we're getting with the serious teams and separating the wheat from the shaft, but that also means that we're past the midway point of football season. So before we know it, we'll be trying to figure out spring football. But before we get all set and gloom, let's get what we need to do through this week and get into who dropped out of the poll rankings. This is the second consecutive week that we did not have a team drop out of the rankings. So we're pretty solid there. We do have some changes for those jockeying trying to get into the ranking, which is the next breakdown with those receiving votes. Virginia State continues to climb, but they're still on the outside looking in. They haven't quite done enough at this point, at least from the voters and the algorithms, as they improved to 5-3 and 3-2 after a win, but they're still outside the top 7. Also outside of the top 7 behind them, Savannah State Tigers. They improved to a 500 season as they're 4-4 with a winning record in conference play. And so they continue to push things forward. Then we slide back into the CIAA with the Livingston Blue Bears. They're at 4-4 and 2-3 as they continue to get things done. So it'll be some fascinating work as we see in terms of those receiving votes. But let's get into the special ones. Let's look at the top 7. Top 7 begins with Edward Water, the Tigers. They stay in the mix to get a big win. As we said earlier, 5-3, 4-2, and it allows them to stay in the top 7 at number 7 with 139 points. Moving on to number 6. Fayetteville State Broncos. They just win when it gets into conference play, and they're doing just that at this time of the year. They're 5-3, 5-0, but they remain at number 6 with 152 points, not moving any in terms of the ranking. Which means we need to move on to number 5. Number 5, those Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. They sit at 6-2, 5-1. They were off this week, or you might have seen some movement there, but they stay at the 5 spot as they were open, 154 points, as they continue to see if they can find a way to get into the SIAC championship game. Regardless, they want to continue to win, which they should be able to, but we'll see what that means in terms of postseason participation. Number 4, as we look at it, are those former number 1 ranked Benedict Tigers. They got it done for 4 straight weeks, but they ran into a buzzsaw as they are now dropping to 7-1 on the season and falling to 6-1 in the conference race. 187 points, dropping all the way from number 1. Bring us to the top 3. See if there's any movement up there, which you could imagine. Johnson C. Smith, the Bulls improved to 7-1. They're 4-1, one first place vote with 190 points. They were previous ranked 4, so they move up a spot, bringing us to number 2. The number 2 ranked team are the Virginia Union Panthers, 7-1, 5-0. Last year's champion have put themselves in a position to make a run again. They're at number 2, 203 points. They do move up a spot, which probably means you recognize that number 1 is in the way of Virginia Union holding that spot, which they did gain late into the season last year, which is none other than Albany State Golden Rams. 7-1, 6-0 in the conference race with a big win over last week's former number 1. 5 first place votes, 207 points, and previous ranked 2, so they ascend to the number 1 spot. For week number 7. In terms of week number 8, it'd be interesting to see how long they can hold it. With that being said, let me go to you, Wilton Jackson, II. What are your thoughts in terms of week numbers 8's top 7 rankings?
Dr. Cavil, when I look at this top 7, I think it's solid. Number 7, obviously, Ever Waters. They're right in there. I
like the way you appreciate my all exciting, and then you end it with, "Oh, it's solid."
Yeah, no, it's solid. It's solid this week for sure. Number 6, Fayetteville State. I'm okay with 5. Okay. I'm okay with. If I had to choose or switch anything, I would have switched 4 and 3. I would have put Johnson C. Smith at 4 and Benedict at 3. That's just my take on that. Into Albany State, definitely make sure I say it right for Mike. Albany State should definitely be number 1 this week.
Teacher's pet, whatever.
AD Drew, where are you with the top 7?
I almost concur with Wilton. The only argument I'm going to make for a change, not at the 3 or the 4 spot, Wilton, but at the 4 and the 5 slot, moving Kentucky State up to 4 and Benedict down to 5.
Wow.
And it's not the fact that Benedict lost to then number 2 Albany State, which allowed them to move to number 1. It's the way that they lost, which is why I would put Kentucky State above Benedict in this poll. But other than that, right now with these 7 teams, honestly, it's throw them in the hat. Whichever one you pull out and you tell me that they're regional champion, it would not surprise me with any of these 7 teams. So can't say that about anything below them. But right now, these 7, nothing surprises me. But that would be the only thing I would say. Flip-flop 4 and 5.
Good stuff. For those that didn't realize, that Kentucky State and Albany State also played. What was the score of that matchup, Drew? You had that?
They'd be fine, but it
was. As you filing that, let me go to Mike.
And then
we'll bring you back in to give us the score.
No, it wasn't that close. It was 49-21.
Yeah, here's the difference in that game, though, Mike. in the third quarter of that game, Kentucky State
close.
was still in the ball game.
Yeah, that's true.
Come the third quarter of this game, you had that Benedict didn't have a prayer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and Albany State scored around
They
the same
scored most of their points in the fourth quarter.
but Kentucky State was able to put up more points. So I think your point still is valid, even if you use head-to-head matchup in terms of ranking. But let's go to Mike and get his official thoughts on it.
No, I agree. I think Kentucky State should be higher. I would switch them up with Benedict because of the way Benedict lost. And then you also have to look at strength of schedule. I think at this point, I know it's week to week, but at this point you got to start looking at body of work, and that's something that other places look. And if you look at Kentucky State's schedule, they played the number one team. Yes, they lost, and they lost to Grambling. Arguably had a damn good chance to win. So I would rank Kentucky State a little higher, and that at this point in the juncture, I would switch them with Benedict. You could also argue that Johnson C. Smith, who would they lose to? What was it, Virginia Union?
Yes.
It was 28-10, two and a half touchdowns. And you look at Virginia, that's number 2. You could argue, between 3, 4, and 5, you could switch the order. Other than that, you're all right. I'm not going to be the teacher's pet here. I think you could switch those 3, 4, and 5 around a little bit from my perspective. You can cut my mic off. I love you. But
I just laughed that you said it's not bad, but I'm gonna cut you from 3 to 6.
Hey, Mike, don't forget, number 2 actually lost to our current number 7 earlier in the year also.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yes, two did lose to 7.
Only thing you can say about that, it was early and was on the road, but yeah, the point is they lost. Charles, your thoughts?
I'm struggling with the 3, 4, 5, and I think just listening to the arguments, the Kentucky State is a little stronger than I had given them credit for, especially after Mike, pointed out, the loss to the number 1 team as well as to Grambling. Let me ask this: are they a stronger team than Johnson C. Smith?
Man, I love to see
Can I get that one for 500?
The SIC does have the win over the CIAA 4-3.
Yeah.
Can I get that for 500, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I want that for 150.
And the only reason I want to answer that because Morehouse has faced both Johnson C. Smith and Kentucky State, so I'm I have firsthand accounts of both of these teams. At the point in time that Morehouse played both of them, I would say Johnson C was a much more physical team than Kentucky State was. The Kentucky State game against Morehouse was in the game. If Morehouse does not throw, Morehouse is going in to score and throws a pick 6 that is returned for 102 yards. That is a 14-point swing in a game that Morehouse lost by 17 points versus a game against Johnson C. Smith, which honestly Morehouse was never in the game and lost by 40 points. So if you ask me as somebody who has seen both of those teams play head to head, I would say Johnson C would be slightly, and I say ever so slightly, above Kentucky State, but both of those games were early in September. So I know both teams have improved much this
Mike, I'm going to let you in here, but as you do that, I want to ask you, how, in addition to your comment, how much higher would you have Kentucky State if they somehow went ahead and got that win over Grambling, particularly the way Grambling has played at the
lately
major division lately?
Last week.
To me, lately, looking at how they played Grambling, to me, they're right there with Johnson C. Smith. I'd have them either at 3 or 4. You could say, I understand your comment, but these were 2 September. These were 2 September battles, and I get it. You also have to look at the fact of who was on the road, who was home then. I understand your point, but I'm still going to say Kentucky State, looking at how they played against Grambling, looking at where Grambling is now, I'm moving them up at least 2 slots.
Well, y'all set me up for the perfect tease when you look at the fact that we have a top 7 matchup, 3 versus 6. So we'll get a little indication. So have your eyes, mid-major folks that are really looking at that. In the SIAC, CIAA, you get a chance to get some shine as you got a great matchup between conference foes. Number 3, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls and number 6, Fayetteville State Broncos. In fact, we'll take our last break. We'll come back on the other side and talk about those key matchups. We have a couple of top 10 matchups that we'll feature, and we'll do that right after this last break.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and AD Drew. As we are doing that, let's get off. We had a great segment there. So let's move right into these matchups for week number 8, those top 7 games. In fact, the first one we look at will essentially be a top 10 matchup. It's number 9 Savannah State Tigers that jumped into the top 7, 4-4, 3-3, at number 1 Albany State Golden Rams that are 7-1 and 6-0 that had a big win. Maybe there's a letdown here. It is an in-state rival between the two. Not necessarily Albany State's biggest rival. Certainly Savannah State's one of Savannah State's biggest rival. I'm interested. I'm going to stick with the expert, particularly at the mid-major level, right there in the SIAC in Georgia. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Do the Tigers have a chance?
unless the Tigers are able to pick up an offense in Macon on their way down to Albany, Georgia, I don't see them having a prayer against, especially
He won't
a
even let him
Golden
call
Rams
on God.
team that is led by Isaiah Knowles. So
Mm.
I'm done with my analysis. It's that simple. They do not have the offense to be able to go toe to toe with Albany State.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I've never heard
I like
you
it like that.
keep it that short. He broke it down fast in a hurry. I couldn't get my comment.
I like it like that.
He's like, I'm done. All right, Wilton, can you help us out? Or are you like, God, no, try somebody else?
I don't want to say this, what I'm about to say, but it's too soon. I definitely don't want this happening. But unless Isaiah Knowles gets hurt or something, or something like that, and I think Charles knows where I'm going with that when I make that comment, because we saw some other quarterbacks get hurt this weekend. I don't see Savannah State making this interesting at all.
Yeah,
Charles, since he brought you up, let me go to you. Go ahead and get out of there. So I guess we can really get to the next game where hopefully we have some thoughts. And Muscle, anything with you here?
I got nothing for you. I got Albany State big in this one.
Mike, can you help me out?
Yeah, I can help you out.
All right.
You ready for it?
Yes.
Are you really ready for it?
Yes, sir.
I got nothing. Albany State 37 points a game. Savannah State is averaging half that. No, I got nothing. Defense. Albany State's allowing 11 points per game. What is Savannah State allowing? Try 2.5 times that. I got nothing. There's nothing. It's going to be Albany State. Albany State. I wish I had some more dessert.
No, hey, it is what it is. You can't make it up. Let's go to the next matchup. It is a 3 versus 6, so it's a legitimate top 7 matchup. It is a big one. Johnson C. Smith wants a little get back. They want to get in the race. Fayetteville State has gotten hot. So you got number 3, the Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls at 7-1, 4-1. It sounds like you all might have some questions with the Golden Bulls, but that's in terms of the rankings. I want to know if there's questions in terms of this matchup against Fayetteville State Broncos. Since you left it off, Mike, I'm going to go back to you and see if I can get you to bite on this one.
This one is a little bit closer. So my question is, this is going to be played where?
At Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
Yep.
So I think this is one where it also may give a little bit of favor to the home team. The reason I say that is, if you look at, again, I like to go to stats. If you look at, total offense, Johnson C. Smith is allowing 15 points, 15 points per game. That's what, and their defense travels. So defense travels on the road. Based on that point, I got to give Johnson C. Smith the edge. Although I look at their strength of schedule and their point differential compared to Fayetteville, and that's a head scratcher. But based on that, Johnson C. Smith is also averaging, nearly 40 points a game, whereas Fayetteville is about 10, 11 points down. So offensive output, favor Johnson C. Smith. Defensive stops, favor Johnson C. Smith. Defense travels, even though they're on the road. So I got to give the edge to Johnson C. Smith.
Charles, where are you? This gets you excited a little bit here?
It does get me excited, and despite all the stats that Mike threw out, the one that jumps out for me is the game against Virginia Union. Kevin Durham got sacked 4 times. Well, guess who's number 1 in the conference in sacks? Fayetteville State. They got 30 sacks on the season. They got 3 guys in the top 10 in terms of sacks. So the question for me is, can they get to Kevin Durham? And playing at home, I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to take Fayetteville State in this.
Fascinating. He says Johnson C. Smith is a bridesmaid again. Wilton Jackson is second. Are you holding true to that, or can the Golden Bulls right the ship from last year?
Doc, I got a lot of faith in Coach Flowers and this Johnson C. Smith team, but to the point that Charles just made in terms of Fayetteville State's sack number, that definitely has me alarmed. And if I'm Kelvin Durham in that offensive line, I'm thinking like I definitely got to maintain my gaps and not allow anybody to get to him, not allow anybody to get to Kevin Durham in this game if we want to win. If you're Johnson C. Smith, but to think about the way that Johnson C. Smith got beat in this game, they got shut out last year at home against Fayetteville State. They had so much momentum coming into that game in those last 3 games. So I think that this is going to be a different Johnson C. Smith team. I know they're on the road, but I think they have a bigger point to prove because they got beat the way that they beat last year and the way that they've been able to come along. I really think that this is a Golden Bulls team that's turned the corner. I have them winning this game, but it's going to be a close one.
80 Drew, I'll let you have the final word in this matchup.
I'll be so happy when I present to you guys my new metric that I created, points per 100, which has turned out to be a very accurate stat, and it measures efficiency of your offense and your defense. Well, I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can, as best as I can. Right now, this season, Johnson C. Smith is at almost 110 points above their efficiency mark, whereas Fayetteville State is 81 points above their efficiency mark, where that should be at. Fellas, what this means in layman's terms, when you divide it out over a per game basis, Johnson C. Smith, if they meet their normal expectations offensively and defensively, and Fayetteville State, if they meet their normal expectations offensively and defensively, Johnson C. Smith wins this game by 3.
Oh, good. And gave us.
Go ahead, Lefty. Go to the bank with that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Go to the bank with that one. Good stuff. Well, let's keep it rolling. Some of these games are going to be lopsided, so we'll just put them on the table so you can keep your minds open to what's going on. WSS Ram Nation lodges his bid in there. He wants both teams to lose. Now, I heard that you can get ties, but both teams lose. That would be a feat for us to all get a handle on.
I want to see how that happens.
Features number 2 as we kind of back up some, but I wanted to feature those 2 top 10 matchups. Number 2, you have Virginia Union Panthers, 7-1, 5-0. And Bluefield State, Big Blue, 3-5, 2-3. I think Panthers continue to roll. Anybody have thoughts other than the Panthers getting it done in this matchup?
Go BU.
No.
Let's go to the next one, which is Virginia Lynchburg Dragons. They are 3-2, 3-1 in their own conference. They're at number 4, Benedict Tigers, a team that you all say can't score. Do they have enough to get it done over Virginia Lynchburg? Anybody see the Lynchburg?
Perfect get right game time.
Okay. I'm about to say.
They need about 35 at halftime.
Yeah, bounce back game.
Let's go to the next one with Edward Waters, number 7 Edward Water Tigers, that is 5-3, 4-2. They're at Central State Matadors. Long trip. Last time we seen a long trip in terms of that match. Or when you're talking about the Marauders, 2-7, 2-5 in terms of that matchup. Anybody see Edward Waters falling on the road like they did to Kentucky State when they went that far?
The fact is that is a long road trip. If there's anything that can get them, it's the fact that that's probably about a 15-hour bus ride. 15 to 16-hour bus ride for Edward Waters. Would they be susceptible to dead legs there at Central State? And number 2, what would the temperature be? I think those are 2 things that you need to consider when you look at this game.
I like the temperature one. That always gives teams that are built in warm climates, oftentimes coming out of Florida, Texas. Does that give you any bite there, Charles?
It gives me a little bite. That is something to kind of consider, but I have to go with Edward Waters in this one. I get the long bus ride. I like the temperature part, but give me a favor.
Good stuff. Wilton, you biting on it?
I am not. Give me Edward Waters.
Mike, you sound quiet, so I'll keep it moving. I won't even get your blood boiling.
I was just trying to generate conversation, y'all. Let's move on.
Another one. Lincoln, Pennsylvania Lions 0-8, 0-5 at Virginia State Trojans 5-3, 3-2. I imagine that they're going to get it right and keep moving as they try to close out and get ready for
They'll
that
still be eating Krispy
matchup against the
Kremes,
Panthers.
donuts.
So the last one we got here for you is Shaw Bears 2-6, 2-4. Big historical matchup here. Number 10, Livingston Blue Bears 3-5, 2-3. In a lot of ways, in terms of CIAA, any hesitation? These games are close. Both are bottom feeders trying to get it done. What are your thoughts in terms of this match? Charles?
Shaw on the road.
Anything here?
Yeah, let's go with Shaw on the road. Let's see what happens. Big bucks, no whammies.
Charles says he's going to make it interesting. Mike?
Charles, you sound like you're in a dice game. Big bucks for the.
Big bucks, no whammies. Let's see what happens.
I think this game. I think the game might be a little closer, but I give Livingstone the edge. I think it may be a little closer than you think because one's in the top 10. But I'm with Charles. Come on, aces and deuces. What's up? So,
Wilton, you hedging your bet? You ready to roll some dice?
No, give me Livingstone. And
Drew?
Matchups like this is exactly why we went away from the top 10 and went to a top 7.
Top 7.
You're right. Well said. We'll end it right there.
Yeah.
Tune into us Thursday as we get back into some of these key matchups. I'll kind of finish it here. Make sure that we do have prayers out to the young men quarterback, Morgan, in terms of him hurting his ankle there and wishing him the best, and obviously T-Set in terms of what he's going through. We have heard drips and drabs of positive information, so we'll continue to have some prayers.
Prayers for Jamaica.
And then I'll go to you, Drew.
Yeah, prayers for Jamaica as well.
And we rag on Lincoln, but they had a very serious incident on campus this past weekend during their homecoming. So prayers with the Lincoln Lions family also while we're talking about it. So we unfortunately we got back to our homecoming.
So hate to hear that comes back up, but very appropriate that we make sure that we send out our prayers there too. So thank you for that.
And can I talk about one game I need everybody to pay attention to?
Please.
Tuskegee Lane.
Why?
Why y'all ask me why I say pay attention to that game?
Why?
Yes.
All right. We went through the tiebreaker scenarios in the SIAC.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up.
So right now, between Benedict and Kentucky State, we are already at tiebreaker number 4, everybody. And we won't get any higher than tiebreaker number 4 just based on the SIC tiebreakers. Should Lane upset Tuskegee, that will force us to the 5th tiebreaker between Kentucky State and Benedict, because tiebreaker number 4 is opponent's strength of schedule. Right now, Kentucky State, I believe it's Kentucky State, but one of them has a 1-game lead over the other one. The difference in their two schedules is Lane and Tuskegee. If Lane wins, their strength of schedules will be tied.
Wow. Man, that's
chaos.
Talking about the data guy. He's talking about falling in love with the nerds. He goes down to the 5 tiebreaker. And the fact he put time in there.
Thank you, Jamie.
It was released.
I got a
That's the
question
game to watch, because that's gonna
on that.
because after that it goes to regional rankings, and then after that it's a coin flip. I'm serious. We are that deep in the SIC weeds right now.
Drew, do you really think Lane is gonna win?
Exactly.
Well, given everything that's happening in Tuskegee, Alabama right now, I would not put anything past Lane getting the victory right there, because there is turmoil going on at my alma mater. That's all I can say.
Wow. Okay. I was just saying, Lane is owing $1 million. Do you really think they gonna win?
Tuskegee ain't won since they flipped on the lights, Mike. Just keep that in mind.
I'm just saying. But Lane,
They haven't won since they flipped on the lights.
Well, I'm gonna tease you with this.
They
What are y'all early
repossessing the
thoughts?
lights.
Don't save a little meat for the bone, but what are your early thoughts about this second time in this season that we have a 1 versus 2 matchup coming out of the SWAC? This one is different from the last one when they were divisional games. Obviously, everybody remembers Jackson State was number 1. Alabama State was coming in as the number 2 team and went to a last play at the end of the game with Jackson State defense making the stop on the offense. Speaking of defense, this matchup features the number 1 defense in several categories, Prairie A&M against that number 1 offense. It showed out against a tough defense in terms of Jackson State, one of the best ones, certainly a championship defense. Now they come in and play Prairie View, number 1 offense there. Alabama State takes the plane, jet flight over, a long trip to Prairie View. Fascinating in terms of setting up this matchup. So wanted to tease that out a little bit because we'll take a real deep dive on Thursday about that. So I'll make you all hold everything, but that was something that was fascinating to me. Wilton, are you able to get back on Thursday?
Yes.
Mike, you back on Thursday?
Yes.
Charles, you here on Thursday?
I am.
Drew, you here on Thursday?
Lord willing.
Amen. So I'm going to make all of y'all wait. I ain't going to let you spend a dime of time. I just wanted to make sure.
If not, I'll mail it in.
I got a problem. How you going to tease us with that? You're
Right.
in the comments and then going to say, we'll see y'all Thursday. Seriously. Really?
That's why they call me the dean of HBCU sports. I can tease it out with the best of them. Number 1 versus number 2. This time, Alabama State comes in with the number 1 ranking as Prairie View has ascended to the number 2 ranking, much like Alabama State did number 1 after a major Saturday upsets with number 1 and number 2 going down. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Go do your data points. Because I want to hear it all on Thursday. For everybody who's looking at, some people say, don't worry about it. It's going to be a blowout. Other folks say one team's going to shock the world. We'll be able to see what that looks like. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll be back on Sunday morning to talk about that matchup, 9 a.m., and see what everybody has to say. We look forward to Thursday to talk a little bit more on the lab. I can announce that we will have none other than the executive director, John Grant, in town. First time he's getting a chance to get
John.
So, John, we coerced him to come on down there, hit that plan, spend a little bit of that ESPN money and make a jaunt over here. So we'll make sure Charles rolls out the red carpet and takes care of John.
Big John taking some shots.
We can't say that live on TV, you know. But
I wasn't supposed to say that. My bad.
No, you can say it here. We just can't make sure he don't do it on TV. But with that being said, he can't tell everybody that he is. We'll see if we can coerce him. You never know. He's a good sport. Might be trying to haze everybody, fraternity or not. Just get it live.
Mike just come with the pack of solo cups for you. Red solos.
That's it.
Solo cups.
Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, as DrKenyattacavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram threads as well. He did go to the HBCU, so you know he experienced that hedging and peer pressure better than most. He knows. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
Drew and Wilton?
Dismissed.
Oh man, that is tang. Yeah.
Wait, C minus. And y'all told me with my poll. Not bad. We'll
Yeah,
see you guys on Thursday.
You're getting awfully shiny today. You got some natural berries and juices in your kid. You look